Ever since the emergence of generative AI and the popularity of image generation, we have seen many tiny shovelware-esque games on the eShop for the Switch that have very clearly AI-generated art and images. Take Last Christmas, where I played that odd Christmas quiz game that the developer had clearly developed both male and female versions of. Surely I wouldn't go back to that developer, right? Well, when I saw the title of today's game and saw it seemed like an actual visual novel, I said, you know what, why not? So let's dive right in and see if we can get a psychotic killer to fall in love. Here is my review of Date with a Psycho Killer Girl for the Nintendo Switch. With story, well, there really is no story. You're in a city for 100 days and want to find someone special, and that's the first problem. The eShop page for this game says you're trapped with 12 prisoners, but they're not prisoners. You travel around the city in the game and discover them while meeting them. There's no mention of a prison or them being inmates. In fact, you don't learn anything about many of them at all. The story here is really just, here's a bunch of horror stereotypes for you to get to fall in love with you. You've got your classic bloody nurse, a witch, demon, ocean-dwelling siren, Joker and Harley Quinn knockoffs, and a long-haired girl that is very obviously a reference to Sadako from The Ring. Even considering the AI-generated art and tropes, the story is a huge bummer. You have these characters and they have some really cool philosophical dialogue when you meet and chat with them. Some of them talk about how fear affects the human psyche, or about the insignificance of mortality and life on Earth, which is interesting. But you never find out anything about these people. It's all the philosophical and creepy talking, and you don't really ever find out information about them. Some do mention what they are, like Serafina very bluntly starting a conversation with, "I am the nurse," but they don't talk about themselves really at all. The only one of the 12 heroines that I sort of liked was Evangeline the doll. She actually does talk about herself in her interactions, with her being a sentient or living doll, quite literally if you look at her model and see her hand and fingers taken apart. She talks a lot about her existence, if she's real, and her literal emptiness inside. So the story is just sort of okay, and that the dialogue they have is kind of creepy, especially with Ayame, but don't expect a real story here. It's just interacting with some stereotypes and them talking in a creepy way until they fall for you, and then incorporate that obsession into their dialogue. When it comes to gameplay, this is sort of a visual novel with dialogue choice elements. Across the game, you'll meet and talk to the 12 heroines and cutscenes, offering dialogue choices to help increase their love counter to get their ending. Basically, you have 30 days to meet all 12 heroines and get them to fall for you. You get 3 parts of the day where you can do something: morning, afternoon, and night. In the morning, you can explore the city, where you can select a location and meet a character you haven't unlocked yet, opening the door to chat and date them to get their ending. You can also work, letting you do various activities to get a bit of money and increase stats like strength and charm. During afternoon and night, you can chat or go on a date with one of the girls you've unlocked. Chat lets you do a text message conversation with them, giving you dialogue choices to improve your love counter. Choose right and it goes up, choose wrong and it goes down. Dates are basically the same thing, except it's an actual visual novel cutscene instead of a text conversation. Get the love counter high enough on a date and you'll unlock her special date. This is basically just a final sequence before you unlock her ending. During this, the love counter goes down a bit and you have more dialogue choices. Max out the meter and she falls in love and you get the ending. And by ending, I don't mean a special cutscene, it just unlocks CG artwork of her from the menu screen. The correct options with all these dialogue choices is actually pretty easy to figure out. Just agree with them. If she's talking about owning you or making you fall deeper into despair, just agree or say yes that you want this. Don't resist what she tries to do and your love counter always goes up. Or you can just choose the first option, and with everyone except for Queen Isabella, you will always increase your love counter. And I'm not joking. It's literally the first option on almost every single dialogue choice. The only exceptions to this rule are the special dates for Crimson and Roxana, who have a single choice in their special dates that requires you to choose options 2 or 3 for love counter improvements, and pretty much all of Queen Isabella's dates. She's the only one that really feels like a puzzle. It's still just agreeing with her and what she wants, but there are a good few dialogue choices with her where you have to figure out which choice is right, aka it's not always just the top option. That brings me to the fact that this game has zero difficulty to it. I mean, it's a visual novel, but most VNs aren't all just choose the first option every time and you'll unlock the ending. That's how 9 of these heroines are. You meet them, choose the top option in a chat with them, do the same during a date, and outside of a couple exceptions, you will always get their ending right away. You don't even need to worry about stats. They literally don't matter or change anything. You don't magically get a ton more love counter gauge just because your strength and charm are higher. Serafina will instantly fall for you if you make the right choices, even if you never do the work option to increase your stats. Outside of the money you get from it that you can use to gift other characters to make those dialogue choices a little easier, it's a rather pointless mechanic. Overall, I think this game is sort of okay. The main goal here is to do the whole game in one go. What happens if you decide to close the game, considering you're not allowed to save? You restart from day one, but you do keep your unlocked CGs from playthrough to playthrough. So long as you remember whose ending you have gotten, it's easy to just keep going and get the rest you need. It's a bit of an interesting game, though I wouldn't really call it engaging. The most engagement you'll get is if you really like the tropes of these characters, though there isn't all that much here. When we get to content and length, you can easily get all endings accomplished within 20 of the game's 30 days, and that can be done within maybe 2.5 hours tops. It's not going to take you long at all, and that's mostly because each character only has a single chat conversation and a single date. If you go back and try to chat with them again, it's literally the same one over and over again. Now with controls, it's worth noting that these menus that look touch-friendly are not. Button controls only, and the menus can only be navigated with the left analog stick. It makes the game a bit awkward, especially when you get to navigating the list of heroines on the menu. The game sort of assumes that you have everyone unlocked at all times. Scrolling through to check infatuation will move the cursor over every girl's portrait, even though it only highlights it visibly if you've unlocked her. This creates a lot of confusion as you can't visibly see what option you're on unless you mash directions until you see something highlight. Next up is presentation. The big hurdle here is that the art is pretty much all AI generated, which turns a lot of people away. I've never minded AI art myself. I think it can look cool at times, and many of the characters here do look pretty decent for what they were going for. Plus, there's only one in-game render for the cutscenes for each character, so there's not a huge issue with having to create multiple renders for the same character not looking that accurate, considering how limited image generation can be for AI. Sure, AI can make things based on what you say most of the time, but it's very difficult for AI to accurately make two depictions that look like the same person. But that does become an issue with the CGs that unlock as you play. All of them are based on the heroines, and they do look similar. There's a lot of art style clashes here, and some of them are just plain, who is this supposed to be? For example, this silver-haired woman in armor is all over the game's backgrounds. But who is this? The only heroine with silver hair is Blackwood, and she doesn't wear anything like that. Her CG artwork is the one right here, showing her in her home, which is something she references a lot when you talk to her. And what about the black-haired woman on the game's title screen? Is it maybe supposed to be Isolde, except without her hat and choker and her top having a lot less lace on it? That's the big problem with using AI like this. AI prompts are not reliable enough to make multiple things of the same character in the same way. Anyways, that's all I have for presentation. I have no issues with performance, so let's go right into battery life. This game gives the original and light models a battery range of 3.5 to 4.5 hours, while the V2 and OLED models get 5.5 to 7 hours. In conclusion, this is a very strange game. It's a neat little time waster if you're okay with extremely surface level horror stereotypes for you to talk to and have a few dollars to spare. It's not a terrible time waster, but with the lack of any sort of character development, the misleading setting, contradicting artwork between the characters and their CGs, the lack of any sort of difficulty and dialogue choices savor one character, and gameplay mechanics that don't really affect the game at all, it's definitely not anywhere near what I would call good. Reviews to go: rate to date with a Psycho Killer Girl for the Nintendo Switch, a 3 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.